To conduct the bulk-specific gravity test, you will need the CoreLok Operator's Guide, a copy of the bulk-specific gravity chart, scissors, the sliding plate, a temperature gun, the filler plate, of which we will only need one for the bulk-specific gravity test, and depending on the size of your sample, we will use a small or large bag, and finally, we will need a couple of soft, dry cloths. You will also receive a grinding block. You will also need a scale, a pad to protect the sample, an underhook, and a water bath 3 feet by 2 feet, preferably waist high. It is extremely critical that you use a water bath no less than 24 inches by 18 inches by 18 inches. Lastly, you will need the water basket and water hook. After you have placed both in the water, you will tare your scale, and now you are ready to begin. Making sure the CoreLok is on the on position, first check the device is running program 1. Selecting from the menu button, run through the settings, making sure vacuum is at 99, dwell is preset at the factory, and seal is at 0.5. Your bulk-specific gravity data collection sheet can be used as a guide in performing this test. Each heading on your data collection sheet corresponds to a step in the procedure. You will begin this test by first taking the temperature of the sample and the water bath, making sure they are both at room temperature, which is generally about 78 degrees. If necessary, use a dummy core or the provided grinding block to smooth out rough edges. This step may be necessary with larger samples. For this test, we will be using a 6-inch sample. Depending on the thickness of your sample, you will need 1 to 3 filler plates. For a 6-inch sample, like the one shown here, you only need 1 filler plate. Next, place the sliding plate inside the CoreLok with the rubber pads facing up. When inserting the filler plate, make sure the seal bar is able to move freely and without obstruction. There should be an inch-wide gap visible between the filler plate and the seal bar. And finally, the caution sticker should be clearly visible. Do not place the filler plates on top of the caution sticker or seal bar. This will cause major restrictions in the movement of the seal bar and obstruct the view of the caution sticker. If the filler plates are placed incorrectly, simply rotate them 90 degrees to correct the problem. For the bulk-specific gravity test, you will only need 1 filler plate. Once you have made sure the filler plate has been placed correctly, tear a bag off the bag dispenser and carefully inspect it for any punctures, rips, or tears. This step is extremely important and should be done for every test. After inspection, tear the scale, and place the bag gently on the scale. Record its weight and place the bag in the CoreLok. Once again, you will tare the scale and carefully place your sample on top and record its weight. Once the weight has been recorded, take your sample and with one hand hold your sample and with the other open the bag and very gently place the sample inside the bag. Do not place the sample in the bag outside of the CoreLok or on a hard surface. Do not pick up the sample by the sides once inside the bag. This will cause the bag to rip or tear. We recommend already having the bag inside the CoreLok and using the one hand to hold the sample while the other opens the bag, like so. Once the sample is inside the bag, you can adjust its position by moving the sliding plate shown here. Do not move the sample by grabbing the top. This could damage the bag and cause it to puncture. Now, with both hands, close the lid and hold firmly until the unit has begun the vacuuming operation. Once the CoreLok unit has opened, tear the scale once again and carefully hold the bottom of the sealed sample and cradle it while you inspect it. Look for any air inside the sample and gently tug on the plastic bag, making sure it is not pulling away from the sample. It is exceedingly important that you do not grab the sample by the bag or place it down on a hard surface. Also, when inspecting the sample, please make sure the bag does not separate from the sample like the one shown here. Next, gently place the sample into the water and onto the water basket, making sure the bag does not touch the sides of the water bath and the bag is completely submerged. Then move the flaps of the bag up and down to release any air bubbles caught underneath the bag. Now, just simply allow the scale to stabilize and record its weight. After recording the weight, take a soft cloth and place it on the table. Gently remove the sample from the water, letting all excess water drip off the bag. Carefully place the sample on the cloth and thoroughly dry your hands. Next, take your scissors and cut along the seal to open the bag. Remove the sample and tare your scale. Finally, place your sample on the scale and record its weight. It is very important that if the weight is 5 grams heavier than the initial sample weight, then a leak has occurred. Dry the sample and repeat the test. Otherwise, continue to the next step. Once you have completed the procedure, take your chart to the computer and open the Gravity Suite software. Choose the core gravity icon, then enter in the data exactly as it appears on the data collection sheet. Once all your data has been entered into the data table, your results will automatically appear on the far right column of the screen.